I woke up this morning thinking, do children have rights? What kind of rights do children have? With a law that says perverts can go in and adopt a child out of an orphanage and bring it home and make sex films with it. Because he brings home the child and gives him everything. Everything he wants. Oh, daddy, daddy. Two daddies, you know. And he's listening at night, two daddies in the bedroom. At night, the walls, there's no insulation. I mean, I can hear right through the wall. And I hear the oohing and on and the choking and the gagging and all that other stuff that goes along with perverted sex. And that child listens to it. What's his rights? Have they been violated? Why did we give homosexuals the right over a child? People, you got to start thinking what you're doing. You're making laws that are going to pervert us. And if we pervert the children, they'll grow up to our disgrace and we'll be in a genocide, people. A spiritual genocide. You're killing the spirit of a child by making that law. So what rights do children have? Somebody comes along and sticks up for them, and now all of a sudden they've violated somebody's rights, and what he's put on the internet can't be told or expressed. My freedom of speech has been stifled. They took my court rights away for arbitration, and now they're stifling my speech. I can't even put a film on about homosexuals perverting children because I offend the homosexual. Well, we got to start sorting out our priorities, people. You're giving the rights away to people who are perverted. They suck each other. They stick their tongues in each other. How much more do you got to realize what's going on? In Europe, way back when they were doing that, God was disgusted. He let the hordes come down from the north and take them over. Even the kings of the pagans would say, they're what? They're making love with their faces? Oh, we can conquer them. They'll want to make love, and we'll chop their heads off. And not the one between the two shoulders either. That's the way they used to do it. And that's the way you got to start doing it. Take your belt off to the faggots. Start beating them. Beat it out of them. When they're young, tell them it's wrong, not right. Oh, you can have your rights. You can go and adopt a child. And then later on, when your husband leaves you, who knows? I don't have to say more, do I? What are we doing in the United States of America? I know there's people that got brains. Look where we're at. We're at the stars, man. We're spending all our money going to the stars, and here's a good example. We spend all of our money going to the stars, $71 billion to go to Mars. How much money did we put in to the mud hut people eating and drinking out of that river? Mud, milk, river. They're eating it and getting diarrhea and all kinds of stuff they're getting. They're dying. And all the rich and wealthy are saying, oh, let them die out. Then we'll be able to go in there and put hotel rooms and buildings and all that, and they can watch the alligators, the crocodiles, thin out the herds in due season. You know, we'll have our season. Come on down and watch the crocodiles thin out the herds as they cross the river. And they got all these hotels around the place. Everybody's got binoculars. It's a weekend. They got beautiful restaurants, bushmeat restaurants, and everything all over the place. They're prospering. But what are they doing? They're perverting the children. They're not giving them what they need. They need fresh, clear, clean water coming up out of the ground, and it's down there. Oh, where are you going to get water in Africa? Well, 900 feet down, there's the biggest reservoir of water probably in the world. All you got to do is tap it, and the deserts will turn back into the Garden of Eden. But we're all here lollyganging around. Who's going to get control of Africa? Well, nobody knows. Everybody right now is trying to get control of themselves. And now we got the threat of Putin pushing the button. He says if NATO goes in there, he's pushing the button, man. So, what do you want? You want fried human beings? Because that's what we'll be doing. When the button's pushed, we'll all be sitting in caves and have a big fire there, maybe. All the wood ain't burned up from disintegration. There's no meat on the fire because nothing's alive. So now we're looking at each other. Man and woman are looking at each other. Yeah. But this time, it's not that type of eating. Nah, they're looking to eat each other for real. Because there's no meat, because we disintegrated the earth because of our immorality that we projected into our laws. We were number one in the United States. We're number one, and we have been number one because our laws were God's laws. And God blessed us. But now, our laws aren't God's laws anymore. Now you murder 65 million babies, documented. What about the undocumented? 65 million. We haven't even increased 1 million since 72 in population growth. We're at zero population growth, just about, people. Everybody's making love with their faces now. I mean, there's a population of 1 million or so since 72, but we killed 65 million babies. And that's documented. What about the undocumented ones? We got to sit back and analyze what's going on in the United States of America, or we're not going to be the United States of America anymore because we're going to pervert our children, and it's going to come from within. No country's strong enough to come and get the United States without them saying, wow, we shouldn't have done that. But from within is what we have to worry about. Because if we pervert our children, they'll grow up to our disgrace. If you're in the hospital when you're an old man and they come up and they got a plug in you, and they want to pull the plug, and your child comes in and they say, well, what can he do? Can he wash the toilets? Or can he clean the sink? Can he scrub the floor? Can he do anything? No. And then the child goes, well, pull the plug. I'm not taking care of him. Because you took the love and respect out of a child when you pervert them or allow them to be perverted. So I had one come after, somebody came after one of my brothers one time. And my dad got so mad, he got in his car and chased the guy down and got him. He wanted to kill him. And the cops came. And my father said, he's perverting he's trying to pick up my son. He's doing this and that. Know who they arrested? My father. Protected the faggot. Because my father was threatening him. He was going to beat him up. So you tell me what's going on, people. I got robbed a couple weeks ago from a Guitar Center. The guy had tattoos all over his body. You know, he's got that look, you know, and his fingernails are all painted black and everything. And he looks at me, you know, and I'm counting all the money out. I count out $300. I says, how much is that? It's 300. How much more? 68. So I gave him $72 tip. And I says, oh, I forgot something. And I went and got a tuner. I came back, and he's looking at me like this. You're $100 short. I says, how can I be $100? I just counted it out to you right in your hands. What do you mean I'm $100 short? Oh, you calling me a liar? Hey, he's calling me a liar over here. He starts raising his voice. Who is this guy? Where did he come from? They are in the world now? So I said, okay. So I says, well, how am I $100 short? And he says, well, those two 50s, you had 3 piles of 50s, 2 in each pile. The last pile were only 20s. And so you're $100 short. They weren't 250s. You're $100 short. And I'm looking at him and going, this guy's freaking out in outer space or something, man. I says, how can I be $100 short if there was 220s there? I'd only be $60 short, right? He doesn't respond to me. Oh, you calling me a liar? Are you calling me? And I just watched him before me, 45 minutes before me, rip somebody else off for $100, but he had $1,200 stacked up in piles. And the guy just took and wadded it all up and said, I got to take it to the counter. And he takes it to the counter and he comes back, hands him a slip. He says, you're $100 short. And I looked at him and I'm like, I didn't see it. He didn't do it to me yet. I watched him do it to another guy. He was a DJ. And he made money on the weekend, cash. And he brought it into the music store to buy stuff cash. And the one guy that was the assistant manager was training another assistant manager who was waiting on me. I'm here watching all this stuff. This guy goes, I'm $100 short. He's looking around for a pile of $100 because he's $100 short. He had all the piles were $100. And so this guy took and wadded them all up, didn't count them up because he said, I don't have time to do this. I'll take it to the counter and I'll bring it back. He says, okay. So he went, he trusted him like I trusted him. So the guy comes back and he hands it and he says, you're $100 short. He goes, why? What are you talking about? He starts looking around on the floor to a pile file on the floor or something, you know. And instead of arguing with him because he probably doesn't pay taxes on it, so he just paid another $100 and he took his stuff and he left. He was pissed. I looked at him, you know. So half an hour goes by, 45 minutes. I'm collecting stuff. I'm doing this and that. I'm buying this Caserio piano organ. So I dished all the money out. I had my pile of money from the bank and my wallet on the counter. And I had 3 piles of money, $50 bills, 3 50s. I saw them. I knew they were all 50s. But he's thinking I'm as stoned as he is. And I'm not stoned at all. I just got a long beard, mustache. Big deal. So I looked at him and I says, oh, I'm $100 short. I says, well, those 220s there, that's $40. And if there were supposed to be 250s there, then I'm only $60 short, right? And he's looking at me and going, oh, you calling me a liar? Oh, he's saying that I stole $100 from him. He's just starting to holler out and everything, right? And everybody's looking. I says, forget it, you know. I says, forget it, you know. I paid $60. It wasn't $100. It was $60 more because he was screwed up in the brain. Then I left. And then I got home and I found out they didn't put my amplifier in my back of my car because they put the organ back there. I'm in a wheelchair almost, you know. So I call up. I says, my amplifier's not in the back of my truck. And he says, oh, well, look around here. Well, it's not here. And we don't know what you did with your amplifier. And I says, that's it. I'm calling the cops. And when I hung up an hour later, I got a phone call from the manager of the place. He came in because I had got him away from his wife I'm not his wife. Maybe he was with his wife. I don't know. He said he was out with his mother and father for dinner, and that this was ridiculous, that I would be accusing his people of stealing money from me. Yeah, right. So I said, he says, we found your amplifier. It's here. Come and get it. I said, yeah, I'm going to come down there and get it. My tires will be slashed or something. Because that guy's furious at me because I told his manager that he's a thief. He was a thief too. I proved it. So, man, the story is so confusing, it's hard to keep track of what I just told you. So here we go back. So I'm standing there looking him in the face. He says, you're $100 short. So I says, no, I'm not $100 short. I'm only $60 short. Those are 220s there. They're not 250s. If there were nothing there, then I'd be $100 short. But that's what you thought. When you took the 250s and put them in your pocket, you thought $100, but you forgot to subtract the 220s you took out of my other pile that was sitting next to it and put them in the place of the 250s. You know, these young kids, he was a young guy too, he was in his 20s. And I worked with them type of kids all the time. They'll chop your leg off if you let them. And they did it. They chopped a man's leg off when I worked for Bosie's. He was the monitor, and he took their privileges away from them when they smoking privileges and stuck them in timeout when they misbehaved. Everybody hated them, you know. So the gym teacher is trying to get in with the kids, you know, and trying to have them, you know, all the guys there, you know, hey, the gym teacher's for us, man. So he says, oh, we're going to play hockey tonight in the gym. All you people who want to support the children, come on down and play hockey with them. So this dumb guy that got the monitor's job had to sign a work release paper that if he got injured or anything like that, that they're not responsible. He had to do that. So his dummy comes down. Oh, where's my hockey stick? Oh, he gets his hockey stick. They get out on the hockey floor, playing that floor hockey, right? And one of the guys that he took the cigarette privileges away came up behind him and whacked him right in the back of his leg. So I missed the ball. They're trying to hit this ball out. There was 4 guys swatting at the ball, and this one guy goes, wham! Hits this guy in the back of the leg, and down he goes. He severed all the arteries, all the tendons, everything in that leg. They had to chop it off. Why? Because he took his cigarette privileges away. You call him a crook? Or you accused him or something? That's what these kids do. And I tried to tell the cops that. They looked at my beard and mustache. If I hadn't given him my business card, where I don't have my beard and mustache, he probably would have tried to stick me in jail, because that's what he tried to do. Because when they came, he says, let me do the talking now. When I went to the police department to get a police officer to go over and get my amplifier, $800. They tried to rip me off for $800 more. Guitar Center. They're $45 million in the red because they're hiring all these musicians that don't have jobs or anything, and they're stealing them blind. Guitars, everything you want. They put it to the side, and when it's right, they stick it in their car, and nobody knows what happened to it. $45 million are in the red because of that. Guitar Center is. And their center is in Chicago. And I was told they have a digital monitor on all cash transactions. Now, they know what happened to me. They saw what that guy did. They did nothing. So they're going down because they don't do nothing. They know what's going on. They should have got that guy getting me and make an example out of him. And then that would stop people from stealing from him. Put him in jail. He stole from a customer. Customer was there with his money on it, and he went and got something, came back, and he stole $100 out of the pile and told him he was $100 short. I'm a school teacher. I don't care about the money. If he would have asked me for it, somebody was a bad, I would have given it to him. Because I've done it several times to a lot of people that needed money. But it just irked me that he stole from me and then called me a liar. And I had to pay for it because I brought the cop in. And he says, let me do the talking. So you go in and he's looking around for cameras. He says, no cameras in this place? The guy goes, no, they do. They have a camera, but it's hooked up to Chicago. That's digitally. And they do all transactions, are all monitored. So they know what that guy did to me. Because they didn't even know that they were being monitored. Because even the owner, not the owner, but the supervisor or manager, he didn't know that they have a digital camera monitoring all transactions. He didn't know it. He said, told the cop, he lied to him. Oh, no, we don't have any monitoring system here. I think he's lying. He lied right to the cop. So the cop looks at me and he goes, and then he looks at the cop and he says, I don't want that man back in here. He's banned from coming in here. And I just spent $6,000 in warranties and everything, right? He isn't taking my side of the deal. He's going with his managers that he hired, as they're saying that I lied or something. And I got mustache and long hair, just like they do. But I'm not his employee. So he gets on the phone and he says, I'm out with my mother and father for dinner, and I got to put up with you accusing my assistant manager of stealing from you. I says, yeah. I don't care if you're out with your mother or father. He stole from me. You got a thief working for you. And then I hung up or something happened. And I get the phone call later that they found my amplifier. Yeah. They knew right where it was. They were going to steal that too from me. $800. They would have got me for $1,000 and nothing I could do about it. Except for the manager was honest enough to call me back and say they found my amplifier. Maybe he looked around somehow and saw it there. What's that Fender amp doing back there? It was put back there somewhere. Because they said they couldn't find it. Gonna steal from me. So the cop, he goes, after the guy says, I don't want him back in here, the cop looks at me and he says, no, I'm going to tell you this. If you come back in here, I'm going to have to arrest you. I'm looking, I'm saying, you gotta be kidding me. Oh, man. Because that place pays big taxes. And they monitor it every night looking for people to break in. So he wants to show that the police department in Johnson City is for business. We'll protect you. So he looks at me and he says, if you come back in this place, I'll have to arrest you. And he walks me to the door. And I go outside the door. He's standing there at the door. And then so he starts coming out and he goes to his car. After he said, is there anything else that you want me to say? That you want to say? I says, not that I can think of. I went back to my car and then I thought about it. That other guy. He should ask about that other guy. Who was he? They wouldn't tell me who he was because I made the connection, see? Because they ripped him off. Now you'd have two people saying they're crooks. And what happened? He told me, he walked me to the door. He went to his car, and then I remembered. I said, oh, I'm going to tell him about that other guy. So I went over to his car, and he wasn't there. So I said, he went back in the place. So I ran over to the door, and I opened up the door, and then a voice said to me, Bill, don't go in. It's a trap. And I was thinking to myself, oh, he said to me, if I come back in here, he'd have to arrest me. So I just closed the door, got in my car, and went. That's justice in the United States of America, people. The taxpayer is right, not the person who got robbed, who's honest, goes to church every Sunday, every day. And I'm the crook now. I'm the one, the narcissist. That's what a narcissist would do. Put everything they did to you right back on you and blame you. That's what happens in today's world. So we are in a mini genocide because they're creeping in all over the place and distorting the way. Like the law was on their side and they were wrong. And the law's on their side because they pay taxes. I'm just a long-beard complainer. Long-beard hippie. If I hadn't gave him my business card when I was all cleaned up in a suit and a tie on and all that other stuff, he would have had a completely different image. I think he would have arrested me. He would have arrested me if he didn't think I had anything to show the judge. And he didn't. Thank God. I got in my car. Thank God that thought came to my head. I have daydreams, and they're like voices telling me to do things, and they're mainly, most of the time, it's right. There's always those other voices that come in your head, that say, oh, look at her. Take a look at her. Oh, just dream about her. I get those thoughts all the time when I go out in public. I just turn my head. It's like a glance of a fighter. A fighter he goes with a punch, That's what I do. I go with a punch. A woman comes in, she's got hung like, what, like a brick, what, house. I look the other way. I don't associate with my mind in getting involved in it because Jesus says, if you sin in your heart, you might as well done it in the flesh. See, I can sit there and mentally do whatever I want, but that's just as bad as doing it, according to what Jesus said. So you avoid all the near occasions of sin. And, now, I haven't been back to that music store since this happened. I haven't called it. I left it in God's hands because a tiger don't change its stripes. They're going to get somebody else. Somebody else is really going to fly off the handle because I got it together. Somebody else that don't have it together, like that one DJ, I think he was stoned enough to knowing that he didn't have any spot, and he probably never go back to that store again. But they ripped him for $100. I watched them do it. And then half an hour, 45 minutes later, they did it to me. His manager, the assistant manager, was training another assistant manager, so when he was off, there could be assistant manager there. And that was this kid, he's got this stare on him, and it's covered with tattoos all over his body. And his fingernails are painted black. He's looking at me, you're $100 short. I says, you got it. I counted it right out to you. Put it in your hands. Jeepers, I'm not $100 short. At the least, I'd be short. If it was 220s, I'd be $60 short, not 100. But you got it in your head because you put them 250s in your pocket. So you're thinking $100, but you're so stoned, you forgot to subtract the 220s you took out of my other pile that was next to the pile I was paying with my wallet on top of it. Mr. Trust. I'm Mr. Trust, walking through the store, trusting everybody. And all they're doing is frothing at the bit. How can we get a couple of them 50s? That's the world, man. And nothing I can do about it. I never got my money back. Never got a call of apology. And I bet you they know because it's digitally monitored in Chicago. Their main office has a digital monitor in all their facilities so they can monitor transactions, cashier transactions. You know what's coming in, what's going out, and all that stuff. That's what I was told by another person who owned a music store, because I went to that person and told him what happened. He says, well, they're monitored. I know that story. He goes, they're monitored by a system in Chicago. It's digital, so they know everything that happened. So why don't they make an example of that guy and stop the 45 million in the red they are, because people are stealing from them. They hire all these musicians. They don't have jobs and no money and stuff. They're thieves. They rip you off. Steal guitars. The guitar I bought, the $2,000 guitar I bought, my D Angelica, was hidden in the back. Assistant manager, one of the assistant managers. He said, no, I was saving this for myself. And I'm thinking, oh, yeah, you're going to buy that on a minimum wage? Yeah, right. You had it stashed back there, so when it comes empty and you're the assistant manager, all you got to do is go back there and stick it in your car. And you're home free, man. Simple as that. And the manager, the general manager, he's trusting everybody. He kicked me out. I'm the honest one. I go to church every day. He kicks me out. Keeps his hoodwinkers, his thieves. Sticks up for them. Looks at me like I'm just a long-bearded hippie. You know, the world, man, the world is corrupt, and there's nothing you can do about it. And it makes you old when you sit down and worry. So you got to forgive. So I had to forgive all that stuff that went on there. And I'm making this video right now so I can have it as a backup. When somebody comes and, well, you did this here and you did that there. And I'll say, this is why I did it. And I'll have a video. Boy, I'm telling you. I've had things happen to telephone companies. One guy really, I think he was an undercover agent or it was a police force. They were trying to get me in Johnson City again. No, this was Binghamton. Because it was with T-Mobile. And I went in there and they were advertising a free iPhone 14 if you qualify. I went in, I qualified, and I get a free iPhone. I got a free iPhone. I used it for a while and I took it back in. It's not working and all this stuff. And they said, well, let me see it. And they tried to fix it and couldn't fix it. I said, well, I get a new iPhone, right? He says, no, you still owe payments on that one there. I said, what are you talking about? It's free. How did I owe payments? Oh, you owe 17 more payments. And then he shows me. They've been charging me, with my regular bill, they've been charging me $37 a month to pay for that phone until it's paid for. I can't trade it back in because I haven't paid for it yet. And it was a free phone, T-Mobile. So he gives me, he says, well, let me see that phone, he goes. He's covered, he's another guy, all covered with tattoos, but he's got this big upside-down peace symbol on, which is the Antichrist. Chick Publications came up with it in the 70s. He found out about that, and he made a booklet. He had it passed all over. He wanted to show everybody that this Antichrist sign is the upside-down, broken upside-down peace symbol. Nobody knows that. They look at it and say, oh, he's peace. Peace. Oh, okay. They don't notice it's upside down. They don't notice it's broken. Just, oh, you're peace. Oh, okay. They're antichrist. They see a crucifix on you, and you're not going to leave without them giving you a headache. Make you hate. Try to get you hate. Then they can say, oh, Mr. Christian, oh, let me hear some more hate. So he goes to me, he goes, now I'm going to tell you this right now. If you raise your voice, I'm going to ask you to leave. And I'm looking at him, what's he talking about? So he says, give me that iPhone. So I gave him the iPhone, the one that was supposed to be for free. And he looked it all over and everything. He hands it back to me. He says, I can't fix it. He says, you paid 9 months for this phone to work that wasn't working? I would have never paid 9 months for a phone that wasn't working. And I went, that's what I did. I paid. He says, I told you, if you raise your voice, get out of my store. So there I was in a trap. And I didn't notice the 2 guys that snuck up behind me from the back of the store. They're there waiting because I'm going to lose it. I'm going to punch this guy and knock him out cold. They didn't know that, though. They thought I was just a little old man. There would be a hassle, and they'd hold me down till the cops got there or until the car got there because they're the cops. And that's how they weed out the ones that can't control themselves in public. Cop trap. At least that's the way it looked to me. So I grabbed my 3 phones. There was 3 phones there, and I was paying insurances on all 3 of them. And my wife, she had her own phone, so I had 4 phones with T-Mobile. And I backed up. I took the 3 phones. I backed up. And I looked at them. I says, God bless you in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. And I turned around, and there's those 2 guys looking at me. They wanted to get me and put me down on the ground. And they couldn't, because all I did was bless the guy and left. That's all you can do, people, and put it in God's hands. And then don't go back and gloat, what did God do? What did God do? That's God. If he wants you to know, you'll find out in the future. But he saw everything happen. And if you're in love with him and he's in love with you, he's not going to let you go that way. He's not going to let them put you in jail or trap you somehow. When you're right, when you were honest, and you are honest every day of your life, God's not, he's going to watch that. I just got to watch out I don't gloat. One time I told somebody about offense against in a business, and a flood came and flooded them right out. I didn't even drive by the place because I didn't want to see what happened. This lady kicked me out of her store because I was showing code violations. And she says, you're upsetting my staff and me. Get out of my store. I says, it's raining now. She says, I don't care. Get out of here. That type of attitude. I was just trying to help them out. And I called up the code enforcement office after when I went. I says, there's a lot of violations down there. People are in there. That's a business. And that was made as a wholesale house to store things. Even the trusses in that place are illegal. You can't build a commercial building with wood trusses. That was illegal. It has to be steel. Oh, we had them paint them. Oh, man, with a fire retardant paint. What do they do? Put Band-Aid on it. Because you got a big building there, and now what are they going to do? They want to have the Batch. It's the Batch coffee place. It happened to me there. I bought a hat. I got a Batch hat. I bought coffee pods. I paid a couple $100 in there. Easy. Right off the bat. And they take this attitude against me because I pointed out a couple of code violations. I was upsetting their people that were working there. They complained about me. He's out there, he's saying that the electrical wires coming into this place is illegal because they're not covered with BX cable. That's all I said. I'm upsetting them. So she comes out, and it's raining out, right? And I got a bike. I rode my electric bike. And I says, it's raining out, and I can't leave, She says, get out of my store. Get out of here. I don't want. I don't want you around. Get out of here. So I left in the rain. And the next thing I saw was the river came up. I don't know if it flooded them out or what. I didn't go look and gloat because if God is going to do something, I'm not going to go, see, you did it to me, you get it done back. I don't do that stuff. God controls. God does it in the way he sees fit. And I'm not going to go back and gloat over it saying, see, you did that to me, now look what was done to you. Whatever you do to others is what is done to you. I could have done that right in her face, and I didn't. I bit the bullet and kept my mouth shut and let God take care of it. That's the best way to do it, people. Don't get involved. Just pray. Have God do with all the other stuff. If something happens, it happens. If something doesn't happen, then maybe you were wrong. You can't always think you're right. I have a pretty good insight into myself. I didn't see anything wrong with me making them aware of code violations. In fact, I even called up the code enforcement officer. He goes, I don't do those, the commercial ones, he goes, or something like that. I forgot what his excuse was. But he was a good guy. He was a code enforcement officer for town of Shenango there. He was new on the job, but and he told me, they were aware of the wood trusses in a commercial restaurant, but they had them as decoration. That really didn't support that roof. That's bullcrap. Those trusses support that roof. If they caught on fire, that roof would cave right in on whoever was in there. You get stuck in there somehow. Who knows what happens? Something happens real quick. You don't know how to respond to it. And things happen. So all I did was try to be nice, and trying to think. So now I got banned from there. Satan, Lucifer, puts your thoughts, your actions or whatever, into other people's minds, and how they think is how they judge it. Like there was a guy sitting in the back of a taxi cab one time. He had his brim of his hat down like this, and he's looking. And the cab driver's in the back, looking in the back seat through his rear view mirror, and he sees this guy, and he's got, well, I don't think he had glasses on. He's got his hat down like this, and he's looking around. He's got one of those gangster hats, He liked that type of hat. It was gangster-like hat, the little hat. So this cab driver's looking at him in the rearview mirror. He says, "Oh, he's a sinister character. Look at him. He's looking around. He's probably thinking about robbing somebody. Look at him. He looks like he's a killer too. Oh man, who is this guy?" And they get to the destination, and he gets out of the car, and he hands him a $10 bill because he's happy because he just passed his card out to this beautiful woman in a restaurant, and she's going to come and he's going to paint her face. She's got a face like the Blessed Mother. He wants to paint a picture of the Blessed Mother, and this woman's going to come and so he can paint him. He gave her his card. He was all happy, and that's what he was thinking about in the car. Oh, I hope she calls me real quick. I want to paint her face. He's thinking about painting a picture of the Blessed Mother, and this cab driver's going, he's a sinister character. Look at him. He's planning a robbery. As he's looking around like this. Do I get my point through to you? The truth could be the truth, and nobody could see it that way. Or the truth could be a lie, and everybody see it that way. Against you. Because that's what they did to me. They called me a liar. When I went there and they took the $100 from me, and then called me a liar. or call me, I'm accusing him of being a thief. I'm raising my voice. I use foul language. I says, what foul language I use? Name the word. Crook? Hoodwinked? Is that hoodwinked? Is that the foul language I used against you? And he's standing there looking at me, trying to outthink me. Here he is, a punk, 20 years old, if that, and 25 or whatever it is. I had him, a school teacher. I had felony offending juvenile delinquents. I was in charge of. I was a learning disabled teacher, and I taught them different trades and recommended them for different trades. I got this one kid who was a farm boy, and he operated every piece of machinery on this farm. And he had a big farm, a lot of head of cattle, cows and everything. He had to milk every morning, clean the barn out, operate the tractors and, the balers and all that stuff. He knew how to do run a farm. He was 14 years old, and they got him labeled as learning disabled. And I'm saying, what's this all about, So I'm looking at him, and he come into my class, and he stunk like a barn. And his hands were green, his feet were green, because he was shoveling the crap out of the gutters first thing, and then the bus came, and then he had to get on the bus. And everybody's going, oh, they got their noses, they tease him every time he gets on the bus. Oh, here he is. Oh, here he is. Everybody plug your nose. Oh, here he is. Because he didn't get to wash. His father says, the bus is here, get on the bus. I haven't washed it. Dad, get on the bus. It's here. So he had to get on the bus. And he came to my shop. I have a big shop, 60 feet wide, 100 feet long, 16-foot ceilings, I have a big shop, and I'm running a program, got a lot of kids and everything. And he's one of them. And they got him as a learning disabled. And well, I'm going to teach this kid small gas engines or something like that, because that's what I did. Introductory. If I introduced you to him and showed you the basics, then you went into OCED, into the small engine program. If you made it, if you were smart enough. A lot of kids aren't scholastically smart enough. They are mechanically smart enough, but they're not scholastic, and that's what this kid's problem was. He was labeled as a learning disabled student, and he was operating a farm. You know how hard that is? Take your boy and put him on a farm and say, okay, run the farm today. And he's an A student. He's a, what do they call them students? An honor student. And you take them and you say, okay, now, here's the barn. Get it in shape here. Milk the cows and shovel the shit. Feed the hay. And, do what needs to be done. Run the tractors and all that stuff. Now, he's a genius, He's he's in school. He's an honor student, So you stick him in there, and what can he do? He don't know how to do any of that stuff. He's the learning disabled. Where the other kid was labeled as learning disabled because he didn't do his homework, because he had to work in the barn. He didn't learn how to write his name. Well, he knew how to write his name. I'm saying write a paragraph, write a story, or write something to pass school. He wasn't into that. And with all the knowledge that he did accumulate after I put him through, I graduated him from out of my program into OCED. I said, this kid has scholastic disability, not a mechanical. He can do everything mechanical. He can run a farm. I says, put him in here, and I bet you he'll run every piece of your equipment that you got in the OCED program for heavy equipment. And that's what they did. They put him in there. They took my advice. They put him in there, and they give us a tutor for helping him with his English and all that, and reading and all that. He wasn't really good at that, but he knew how to operate all those heavy backhoes and all that stuff. He don't need. You know how much he's worth an hour if he went and got a job? He don't need any know how to read or write or anything. He can hire somebody to do all that. You can hire Grammarly. Grammarly, $125 a year or $45 a year, and they'll read and improve everything you say or do. Tell you all what's wrong, correct it for you, and everything. You don't even know high school education in English anymore. And you got programs that will do it, and they teach you as you're doing it. That's the new tech available. And we don't utilize it. Well, back in the 80s, 80s is when I taught. 80s and 90s. I became a broker in the 90s, a real estate broker. I remained there for 15 years because I had 2 more years. I quit at 13. I retired at 13, but my license was still good for 2 more years. So I was 15 years a broker. And that was a scam they did on me there. They passed a law that if you had 15 years, you didn't have to go to school anymore, 22 and a half hours every 2 years. It was a hassle doing that. It was and it cost money too. Those courses weren't cheap. So that was the law. And so a lot of guys that were in there for 30, 40 years, they're sick of it. So they passed a law that you had to have 15 years. Here I am, 13. They got me, right? Why did they say 10, 12? Had to be 15. It's just 2 years over me. But they didn't realize I'm a veteran, and I got 2 years. I was 15 years. But what they did was they caught him, because the next year they changed the law. Everybody with 15 years or more didn't have to go to school anymore. And that was the law. But then when they caught it, and they saw how much money they were losing, they changed the law back. But they got rid of me because I said, if they can do this to me, I'm out of here. I don't need people like this doing this to me. And I retired. I got out of real estate. All that work too. All the days at school, everything, get the license and all that. And you get there and the other agents hoodwink you. Say they're going to pay you and they don't pay you. And they take everything you got. I went into this one agency with a $1,200 with my what do they call it? The percentage you get when you sell a house was $1,200. Not 1,200. Was 900 to them because they get 30%. So whatever 30%, which was $900, that's how much money I was making on this big house I just sold, and I gave it to them. It's coming in. I didn't do nothing. They didn't do nothing for it. I just joined them, and automatically they get, as soon as I join, they get a percentage of that house. It was $900. So I said, okay. So I gave it to them. I joined. I gave it to them. And so they said, okay, now you're going to pay $600 for your fees and all that stuff to join our organization. I said, well, take it out of the $900 I just gave you. Oh, no, that's ours. No, we can't do that. I said, well, I can't work for you then. And I left. Bam, I was out of there. And then later on in life, I catch the guy. He gets a position with the MLS. And my houses aren't showing on the internet. I got people calling me up, and Bill, did you put our house on the internet? We're trying to find it. We can't find it. And I call this guy up, and he fixes it immediately. So, I says, I got to pull these. They're going to run these in the name of Christianity because he said he was a Christian. Yeah, right. We're going to see him on Judgment Day being judged a Christian when I give him the 2 cents of what he did to me. I had to pull teeth to get my finder's fee because I'm getting all these big listings. And I'm just me, man. So I started panning them out. I said, I'll give you this listing, and it's a $3,500 interest on it, 6%, and I'll give it to you, and you give me $500 finder fee, because I'm a broker and he's a broker. It's okay. On the sale of the house. So, house has been on the market for 2 weeks. He sold the house, right? $3,500. You think he'd give me my 500? I had to pull teeth to get the 500 from him. Mr. Christian, you don't think that's going to come up on Judgment Day? Mr. Christian? I've had it done to me, too. I've had it done to me. I've been called Mr. Christian. I had next door neighbors moved in. All the neighbors moved out because their houses went up to $100,000 and they sold and they got out of here. So all these other people came in. They're all young, not married, having children and babies. I put up with it, and everything. Now they get settled in, and all of a sudden now they start making demands on me because I got a sanctuary out in front of my house with a statue of the Blessed Mother and Sacred Heart of Jesus, big statues too, out in front of my fence in my house. And then you got to wake up every morning, look out their window and see that. They're not religious. So they start complaining. My grass is too high. Oh, my grass is too high. Oh, your house is worth what it's worth right now because of me. I took the 2 trailers off the street. They don't know that. They just moved into the area. They don't know what was here 40 years ago, 44 years ago. I had a trailer on this property 44 years ago. 1980, which would be 45 years ago. I lied. No, I told this story before when it was 44 years, so I just kept that number. But, I might explain. So anyways, they're all on the street and they're all looking. I tried to hand out cards, about the Blessed Mother and this, and nobody would take them. And then they're just looking at my statue and my statuary, and I have a grotto to the Blessed Mother, and I have the Sacred Heart of Jesus, and a bird bath. I have on this side I have St. Francis, all painted white, big statues, 24 inches high, And I got them out there, and I got flowers in there, and it's all laid out. It's beautiful. And I put lights on it. And what did I get? They called the cops on me. Said my lights were blinking and hurting their dogs' eyes. And the dogs were upset when they looked out the window at night, saw my blinking lights on my statuary. So they called the cops on me. Cops came. So we can't do anything. It's Christmas lights and stuff. It's his property. He can do what he wants. But they were over there, wussy-wussying up to her. She's a young woman, and all that stuff. And these cops are over there explaining to her, no, you can't do nothing against that. And he's all right. He's got the rights to put up lights. You can't tell him not to do that. So blah blah. So the next week I come, and what does she have out in front of her house? Her whole house is decorated with lights. Everything going around, everything is blinking. I mean, I come out and I look at her house and blink, 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 blink. Nothing compared to my little blinky, little flicker that I had on my. But his, they're going, blinkety blink. I said, oh, man. And then the next morning, or that week, they back out of their driveway, and I had a workbench in front of my mailbox, way out of the way. I mean, you could have parked next to it. He pulls out and backs out of his driveway to the center. I watch him when he pulls out. He backs out and he goes to the center of the road and then goes. Well, he backed out of the driveway and came all the way over to my mailbox and then tried to turn around that way. And he's complaining that was in front of my mailbox. They're giving me a hassle over that, over my sanctuary. Would you take down that, please? It's blocking our way and backing out of the driveway. I'm 100 feet from, well, I don't know, like 60 feet at least from their driveway. Somewhere's around 60 feet. They got to complain about my grass growing or this and that. Or one of the ladies says, oh, you're feeding the crows now? Oh, now we got to listen to the crows. What's that in your driveway? It's a corn cob. I had a corn cob. Threw it out there for the crows, you know. Oh, now we got to listen to the crows come complaining to me. Looking for something to complain other than that sanctuary that's out that they have to look at every time they get up in the morning and look out the window. Now, if you're not religious and you're listening to me right now, he says, "Well, why did you take it down?" And I can hear you. I can hear you guys. Well, yeah, I agree with them. Take it down. You know what's going on? And then there's people that are religious. So, oh, that's the most beautiful thing I see in the morning. When I wake up, I think about the Blessed Mother, and he's got a hummingbird over there flying around on a little stick, you know those hummingbirds that fly, I got those around. I got feeders, and the squirrels are coming, and I got birds coming in. Everything is beautiful, right? They're complaining. Why? Because they're demonic. They don't have the Spirit of God in them. And that's what you got to put up with, people. You got to bite the bullet and put it in God's hands and not get your whatever out and start hitting people with it. Stay away from me. That's what I said. I didn't even say nothing to them now. When they come out, and if they speak to me or anything, I just ignore them like they don't even exist. And they can't handle it, man. They go back in the house steaming. So you just keep your mouth shut and don't dialogue with them, because if you do, if you dispute with a man of raging speech, all you do is heap wood on his fire. Keep your mouth shut and just mind your own business. If they're going to treat you like that, you treat them right back by ignoring him. Because that's how you beat Satan, how you beat the devil. You ignore him and all his suggestions. Ignore it. Walk away. I had that happen to me one time. There was a woman at a party. Her husband was drunk, laying up against a tree out cold, right? Nighttime. I was invited to the party. Susie wasn't there with me because I don't know what the story was. It was a guy I worked with, and he was having a beer party, hamburgers and hot dogs and stuff. I'll come down and have a hot dog and hamburger. So I come down here, and this woman's working the grill. And I go up to her and I said, I have one of those. They said, oh, yeah, who are you? And I says, well, I'm Jimmy's, a friend of mine at the party. I'm one of his working buddies, I do work with him and stuff. He goes, oh. She goes, oh, well, I'm his next door neighbor. And we started talking a little bit. And she looks at me right in the eyes. She says, oh, man, you want to jump my bones right now? And I looked at her and I go, I don't know what my face was like. I mean, I just looked at her and what am I going to say to that, God? I didn't know what to say. I didn't say nothing. And she says, come on, I want to jump your bones right now. Come on, we'll go over there and do it. I'm looking at her. What about your husband? Isn't that your husband over there? Oh, he's out cold. He'll be like that for hours. He won't come around. He's drunk. That's what she said to me. She says, come on, you want to jump my bones? Just like that, want to jump her bones. I never had any woman say that to me. There's women like that out in the world. I've never met any. Except for that one. Because that's how a hermit I am. I don't go places. I hang out in bars in my teenage life. You didn't have to be like that because everybody was like that. Everybody wanted to jump their bones, But when you're married, and you're trying to live a good life, and then you got another woman that's married, she's a wife and all that. Her husband's a drunk, though. And then I found out later on, he wasn't drunk. He wasn't drunk. He was there looking through one eye what was going on. If she could get me to take her someplace and jump her bones, he'd sneak up and watch. He was a watcher. And they were in cahoots together. She'd get a guy, and he'd come, pretend like he was drunk. And then once you went and doing your thing, he'd sneak up and watch. That type of stuff happened in the world. I had this one guy, he's a pervert. He says, get on the bike, Billy. I was only 9 years old. He's a bike rider. He says, get on the bike, I'll take you for a ride. So I got on the bike and we went down the park, and they were standing there, and there was these two dykey girls, they're looking at each other, so the sleeves rolled up and everything, And they come over to him. They knew him. They come over to him because he's a pervert. I didn't realize what a big pervert he was till after I saw what happened. He goes, he says to him, oh, see that woman over there on the swings? Look at the size of the kahunas on her. I'll tell you what, you go over and pick a fight with her, talk to her and pick a fight with her and rip her blouse off, and I'll give you each $5. Perverts. Perverts. That's what I'm talking against, people. We gave them the rights. We gave them their rights. They can go into an orphanage and adopt a child, bring it home, give it everything. Give it everything. And then one day I say, son, would you do something for us? Would you do this? And then boom, you got child pornography. It's all over the internet. And then they're also adopted children, bringing them home, not doing anything to them, just giving them a good life. They just want to have their hubby, and they're not worried about him. They just want to have a son or a daughter or whatever it is. But what does he got to do for it? He gets everything, pampered and all that stuff. School, his own room, bike, everything. Oh, daddy, daddy and daddy, oh, they're so good to me. I'm glad I have two daddies. But at night, what happens? He listens. What's he listening to? Oh, oh, oh. And these kids going, what's that all about? So he goes to his dad. Next time he sees his daddy and daddy, he goes, what was all them oohs and ahs? And heard people choking and everything. What's going on in there? And he goes, when you get old enough, son, we'll let you know about all that. Okay? So the kid listens until he's old enough. But he doesn't have to be told anything, because now he's listening with a jar of Vaseline in his hand and he's looking for another man. You did that to him, people of the United States of America. You voted that law in. You're guilty. Genocide will take over the United States of America if we don't fix them laws. Now, if you want to be talked to like a father talks to a son or a daughter, substitute me. I'm telling you right now, if you don't change them laws, we're in deep, deep doo-doo. Mark my words, people. Mark them good, because I'm telling the truth. If you don't take them two laws off the books, we're talking genocide, people, because you'll corrupt our youth. And if you corrupt our youth, they'll grow up to our disgrace. I'm talking too much. I'm starting to hiccup without breathing. And I get upset. And I talk. And I don't take enough breaths to keep from hiccuping. But that's how I see it, people. 75 years on earth, man. I've been living a good life, man. I've been in there with Jesus, singing every day to him. And I still got to go through. Every day has its hassle. And you got to overcome that, because then you can enjoy your blessings, right? When you have a bad and then you have a good, you enjoy good better, don't you? And that's what God is. You know, the ones who sin the most are the ones, and they repent, are the ones that have deeper remorse. And God never shuns or turns away a remorseful heart. So if you're a sinner and you're doing these things, stop doing them. Just stop it. There's no sex in heaven. There's no lust in heaven. God doesn't come up to you and stick his tongue down your throat saying, welcome to heaven. Do you think he does? If he does, I don't know what heaven you're in. But anyways, if we go on any further than this, then I've got time and I can't upload it and I don't have a song on here. It's just another scolding. Okay, that's what I'm going to put on the title. You deserve a scolding for the laws that you enforce in the United States. It's going to be my title. So God bless you all. Come, Holy Spirit, and kindle us the fire of your love. Send forth your Spirit, shall be created, and you shall renew the face of the earth. O God, as you instruct the hearts of the faithful by the light of the Holy Spirit, grant us in that same Spirit to be truly wise and rejoice in its consolation. Christ our Lord. Amen. Well, I'm coming back with a song. I'll put it on pause, see what happens. I looked at it and I said, I gotta do all the wires, and I gotta put all the things together, I gotta put everything together. I gotta have a studio, so when I come in, I just flick a switch and everything's on. I have to take and plug wires here and plug wires there, look for this, look for that. I'm not gonna do it, so I'm not gonna do a song right now. I'll just put this on. You can watch it. I got all kinds of songs all over the internet. A lot of my talks have songs in them. So if you go and you scoot through the talks, you see me talking. When you see me with a guitar in my hand, or drums or something like that, stop it, because I'm singing that. And you can listen to those songs. You don't have to listen to my whole song. Some of my videos are 4.5 hours long. You have to be an old lady in a nursing home to watch those. I'm not after old ladies in nursing homes, even though I'm an old man that belongs to one. Can't even walk around. Good pain. Oh, God. I'm stretching right now. My back. Oh, good pain. Oh, good pain. I want good pain, God. I don't want bad pain. Give me good pain. God listens to me. I know he grabs me and hugs me once in a while. I feel him doing it, He loves me. I love him too. He loves you just as much. All you gotta do is confess your sin, receive his body and blood, and live a holy life. Read the Bible. Like, what did they do before there was a Bible? It was 400 years before the Bible was written. Way back when Christianity first started, what did they do? Well, they read circulating letters and stuff, but they broke bread. They drank wine. They nourished the soul inside their temple. That soul will grow the more you feed it. That's why a lot of the saints died at a young age. They went to communion every day. They're in prayer constantly. What does that do to the soul inside you? It grows, and when it grows, it gets so big it wants to burst out and go into heaven like a butterfly carrying a rose. Holy, 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 holy God. I got songs. I got lots of songs on here. I got 400 videos on here now. Mr. Beast, I think, saw some of them because he went to Kenya where I was pleading and begging for the little children to have water well. He went there and put 100 in. Then he gave all the kids bicycles in all the villages, soccer ball and bicycle. This guy's a filthy rich. I mean, what would you call it? Holy rich. If he does that stuff, he's not filthy, he's holy. He gave them all, because they had to go 2-3 miles to school every morning and every night, walk home and every night. I mean, it keeps them in shape and everything, but they're not eating much and they're not in good health drinking that river water. That river water's polluted. It looks like mud milk, and that's what they drink after they swipe the turds away from the top of the water so they can dunk their 5-gallon bucket in 3/4 of the way and carry it home at 44 pounds, being 10 years old. And the crocs are watching them. Where did he go and get his water? Oh, right over there. Oh, where's the sun? Oh, the sun is just over the peak. Okay. Well, I'll go over there and lay when the sun's just over the peak. I'll lay in the bottom there and wait for him, catch his vibrations, and I'll grab him. That's how they get them. 100 cases a year documented. Children being eaten, getting a bucket of water out of the crap milk river. Boy. And we're sending our money to the stars. $71 billion to go to Mars. And we got all these people suffering. Where's our priorities, man? Boy, on Judgment Day, God's going to have a lot to say. He's going to say it, you're going to know it. Because your soul, your own soul, is going to convict you if you didn't do what God said to do. Confess your sin. Have remorse for your sin and confess it. Try not to do them again. Because sins are habit forming. You know, they're hard. Some sins are hard to break. Especially if they're drugs. So, and I'm talking hardcore stuff like heroin and fentanyl and all them drugs are killing everybody. They're killing our youth. We're not only aborting our children in the womb, we're aborting them after they get a college degree. When they go out and have a party with their boyfriend or something, and he's a druggie, and he gets her drunk and gives them some cocaine laced with fentanyl, and she dies with a master's degree. Just got a master's degree. And that happens. That's what we're up against, people in the United States. Nobody's safe. Not unless we make them safe. Get out there with your signs. Save the children. Save the children. Save the children. God bless you all.